I do.
Please state your name for the record.
James Perry.
All right, Mr. Perry, what is your rank? How do you go by?
I'm an investigator.
Investigator. And what do you do for a living?
I'm an investigator with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office.
And what kind of work do you do for the Greenville County Sheriff's Office?
I do the Computer Crimes Investigation Unit.
And what does that entail?
It entails doing forensics on cell phones.
And were you, well, how long have you been with them?
I've been with Greenville County for 30 years, and then I had another 13 years with Greenville City and Greer. So 43 years total, with a
Congratulations.
little stench of about 7 years doing private investigation. So 50 years.
50 years in investigations.
You know,
I imagine you have a story or two for us.
there's statute of limitations.
I'm glad to hear that.
No.
How did you get involved in this particular case?
The day of October 13th, I was asked to go out by my sergeant to the crime scene to collect a cell phone that belonged to the victim and bring it back and do the forensics on that one.
Now, are you oftentimes utilized, along with Charlie Cunningham, who we heard from as well, to help download phones and analyze them?
Yes.
And in doing that, what software do you use to analyze those?
Back then, I was using just the regular Cellebrite forensics tool.
And what does Cellebrite Forensic Tool do?
It basically what it does is it images the cell phone that you target, and once you get the image, you load it into a software program that pulls up a certain format that you can go through it and see what kind of data that is actually on there.
So you have the software that downloads the raw data from the phone.
Correct.
And then you have the software that helps you read it.
Yeah, it opens it up and parses it to make it a readable.
And is that called Cellebrite Reader?
It's called Physical Analyzer, UFED Physical Analyzer. The report you get when you go through it is called, it puts a program in there called Cellebrite Reader so that if I give it to you, you can open it. You don't have to have the program I have.
And once it gets into the Cellebrite portion, the reading part of the software, are you able to manipulate it after that? Or
No, once it comes up on the screen and it's opened up, you can't go in there and add things or take things away.
In this case, were you asked to review the downloaded data from Zach Hughes' phone?
I was.
And were you able to do that?
I did.
And how would you do that? Or where would you do that?
I did it in my office on my forensic computer.
And once you're in there, are you able to generate reports?
You can create a report from a report. So if I were to give someone a 50 gig Cellebrite report, but you just want to narrow it down to 1 day, you can narrow it down to 1 day, and then at that point create another report that looks identical as far as the layout of the Cellebrite report. But I know, like on this particular phone, if you were to print it out, it would have been close to 88,000 pages if you did the whole phone.
And so were you able to review the information on this phone as well?
I was.
In fact, did you identify that WIN Wi-Fi that we just
Yes,
I
I did.
discussed right there?
I saw the WIN Wi-Fi in the networks.
And then when you obtain that information, do you report it back to the lead investigators about information that's found on the phone?
Right. If we're specifically asked to go through the phone, we will give them a report, pretty much of everything we found that's relevant to what they're looking for.
And so not only are you downloading the phone and reading it, you're perusing it for evidence that you think may be important to the investigator's case.
Correct.
And are you communicating with the investigator about all of this?
Up front, they kind of give us an idea what they're looking for, and then at that point, we go through. It may even come down to the point, and in most of these cases, the solicitor will come over and sit down and go through with it, which you did, sat down, and we were able to show him different things that were on the phone that were relevant.
So were you able to make various reports on Zach Hughes' phone?
I was.
And was one of those reports called user accounts?
Some of them, yes, that's one of the, it has tabs, and each tab will give you different information on the phone. And user's account is one.
I'm going to show you what states exhibit 170. It's already in evidence, and then we'll go through it. Is that on the is that the user accounts?
That is.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at it real quick. So up at the top right here, is that how we're identifying it as user accounts?
That is correct.
All right, so what is user accounts going to show?
I mean, it'll show if they have a WhatsApp, a Facebook page, it'll identify those and actually sometimes give you the information you need to, if you need to send off a legal process for that account.
All right, so I'll refer you to column number 3, for example. What is that?
I'm sorry, column.
Yeah, column, I'm looking at the numbers on the left side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so number 3.
Okay. That's ZachDavidHughes@gmail.com.
Okay. And so is that the information that would have been put on this report from that phone?
That's correct.
So what does that tell you, me, or whoever's looking at this thing?
It just tells you that one of the users on that phone has an email account of ZachDavidHughes@gmail.
Okay. What about number 6 and 7?
SDGpiano@Yahoo, and then the Beethoven Odyssey@gmail.com were additional accounts that were on that phone.
All right. So that information is given to us, given to the solicitor's office, given to investigators to help identify whose phone that is.
It helps, yes.
Okay. All right. So are there additional reports called device events?
There are.
All right. What are what's a device events report?
The iPhone will pick up an extremely large amount of activity that you're doing on your phone every day. It will show if you turn the device on, if you turn it off, if the screen comes on, the screen goes off. If you rotate it from the to landscape mode or portrait mode to landscape, it tells that you did that. It's a treasure trove of information of what's going on with that phone in the hands of the user.
And do y'all use this in investigations to help determine what that phone was doing during a certain amount of time?
Correct.
And is it able to tell you certain things?
It is.
Okay. Will it tell you when the phone's plugged in or unplugged?
Correct.
For example? Okay. And did you run a report on Zach Hughes' phone for device events?
I did.
All right. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 175. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, this is a copy of the device events
For whose phone?
for Zach Hughes' phone.
Your Honor, State moves 175 into evidence. No objection.
Objection.
All right. All right. So I'm going to start with column 1. You can all see it there. All right. So tell us what that column 1 is, and we're just going to go down the columns, and you can tell this jury what is this telling you?
That just, it gives you the time, it's a time date stamp for the value of the event that you're looking at.
Okay, so so the event type tells you what the event is.
Correct?
The value tells you kind of what it's doing.
Correct. In other words, device plug-in status, it's going to show you basically in the values that it was plugged in.
All right. And what about this source over here?
That just tells you basically where it was found by the Cellebrite program in the database. That's where it extracted it out.
So looking at number 1, what's the date and time and the end time, and what was the event?
It was on October 13th at 4:30 a.m., and it was plugged in.
So is that telling you that somebody plugged in their phone to charge it?
Correct.
So that would require manual manipulation.
Yes.
All right. And let's go to number 2.
Basically, it's 10:13 at 4:30 a.m. It's telling you that the phone was unlocked.
So how would somebody unlock a phone?
Usually either Face ID, thumbprint, put the passcode in. One of those usually would be the way to do it.
So that means the phone is in somebody's hand
Right.
or being
Yeah.
manipulated by a person. Is that
Correct.
fair? All right. And so number 3?
At 5:56 a.m. on the 13th, it's telling you that the phone was unlocked.
And same analysis
thing.
applies.
Correct.
All right. Number 4?
At 6:02, the phone is unlocked.
And number 5?
At 6:09 a.m., the phone was again unlocked.
All right. And this is all on October 13th, 2021.
All of these are on, yeah, everything I think on this report is the 13th.
So I'll refer you to number 5.
Again, the phone is unlocked at 6:09.
Number 6.
Phone again unlocked at 7:06.
Number 7.
Phone again unlocked at 7:07.
And then number 8.
The phone is again unlocked at 7:41.
What is the end time on number 8?
I'm sorry?
The end time? Does it have a start time and an end time? Oh, I'm sorry.
Move it up just a tad.
Move it up.
There you go.
There you go.
7:42.
All right. So then I'm going to show you column number 9. What is that? Column number 9.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. At 7:42 a.m., the device is plugged in.
And then what about the end time?
End time is 11:34.
And then I'm going to go to number 10, and then we're going to go back to number 9. But what's number 10?
10 is at 10:34, the device is plugged in.
Is that 11:34?
I'm sorry, 11:34.
Device is plugged in. All right, so explain to this jury what this gap in time is. We've got 7:42 to 11:34.
It's just showing that the phone has not been manipulated, plugged in, turned on, unlocked, any of those normal things that happen with the phone,
It's not being utilized.
not being utilized.
All right, and then it continues on. For example, at number 13. What's going on at number 13?
Okay, at 11:35, you're having a orientation change of the phone to landscape, means he was looking at it like this, turned it and was looking at it in that mode.
So that would require physical manipulation of the phone.
Correct.
Go from a vertical phone to a horizontal phone.
Correct.
All right, and then, for time's sake, does it just continue? What about number 16?
16 at 1:21 p.m., the output speaker is turned on.
And what time was that?
That was it, 1:21 to 1:41.
And then what about number 17?
Change of landscape at 1:21.
And again, number 18?
You have another orientation landscape at 1:41.
And let's go back up to the top of this report. What time in number 19?
19 again, a speaker activation at 1:48 p.m.
I'll skip to what about number 22?
22, you have a speaker activation at 2:22 p.m.
Okay. And what's the end time on that?
3:50 p.m.
All right. And so I'm going to take you to number 83, just sort of at the end of this report on the 13th. So what was the last thing that the Zach Hughes phone did on the 13th?
He unlocked it at 11:40 p.m.
That night? Okay. The night of the 13th?
Correct.
Okay. Did you have the occasion to print out any more reports?
Gosh, yeah.
Lots of reports.
Yes.
Did you do a report entitled Timeline?
I did.
Okay. And I'm going to show you States Exhibit 176. Do you recognize that report?
Yes, that is a timeline.
Is that a timeline for application usage log?
Correct.
Your Honor, state moves 176 into evidence. No objection.
Objection 176.
All right.
So I'm going to show you. You can just tell us about the number one line and what that means and at what time.
Just that application usage log stating that on 10/13/2021 at 7:06 a.m., the application usage log, he was logged in to his
And what is the description?
VPN, Express VPN.
What is that?
VPN is just a way of a private logging in to the internet.
And so what is application usage log?
Application usage log, it's just what it says. It's the usage of that particular thing on that day.
Is it to tell you the usage of a particular app or an application?
Correct.
Okay, and so it tells you when you use a certain application or if it, let me ask you
Correct.
this. If it's not on there, that means you're not using it. Is that correct?
Most likely, yes.
So I'm going to show you number 6. What is the application usage log?
That's 10/13/2021 at 7:07 a.m. And that's the ExpressVPN.
All right, is that the last application usage log on Zach Hughes' phone on the 13th?
It is.
Did you do some more reports?
I'm thinking. Yeah, I think there's more coming.
All right. I'm going to show you. I'm going to ask you about what about an report from the Cellebrite regarding wireless networks.
Correct.
All right. Will that show what wireless networks you connected to along the way?
It will.
We'll show you States Exhibit 177.
Yeah.
Is that the wireless networks report that you ran?
It is.
Your Honor, State moves 177 into evidence.
No objection.
Objection.
So, what is the wireless networks report?
I'm sorry, what now?
What is the wireless networks report?
It shows when somebody connects to a wireless network that's available to them.
All right. I'm going to refer you to line number 3.
So that's a when Wi-Fi is the name of the Wi-Fi, and then it's showing that it auto-connected on 10/13 at 2021 at 1:17 p.m.
So at 1:17 on the 13th, Zach Hughes' phone was connected to the Win Wi-Fi.
Correct.
And you just heard testimony. Where's the Win Wi-Fi located?
799 Indian Flats up in Marietta.
All right. And what does last auto connected mean?
That means the last time it auto-connected. In other words, he didn't have to put in the password. He drives up the house, walks up, whatever, and it connects, just like mine does at my office and at home. I never have to do anything to it to get it to connect.
All right. Did you run a report entitled Web History?
I did.
And what is Web History going to show you?
It's just the where he goes on the web during any particular time.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 178. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And is that the web history search for October 13th, 2021 of Zach Hughes?
It is.
Your Honor, State moves 178 into evidence.
No objection. No objection. 178.
All right. So I'm going to show you line. Let's just start with 321. Tell this jury how this works, like how you read this report.
It just basically is that first one is it's telling you the Google search that he did, and it was done on 10/13, 2021 at 8:22 p.m. in the evening.
All right, I'm going to take you back to the end of the report. These reports sometimes start from early in the day and then go all the way
Right, you read them backwards.
backwards. All right, so at 3:40, sorry, 3:40, what time was that? Would be his first search on October 13th,
Correct.
2021, right?
Correct.
So the first search was at what time?
It was at 4:23 p.m. on the 13th.
And this right here just tells you what he was logged into.
Correct.
Okay. So he wasn't doing any web searches in the morning of October 13th.
No.
Were you able to run a report called call logs?
I was.
And what is the call log report going to show?
Basically, the call log shows you the calls that he received, made. It usually gives you the duration that the call was. All right, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 179. Ask you to identify it. This is the call log for the 13th.
Zach Hughes phone?
Correct.
So you just testified, you gotta have to start backwards and work forward, right? Is that the easiest way to review these?
Yeah, if you're wanting to do it in a chronological order.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with 16 and 17. What are the dates there?
Okay, those are on October 12th at 3:05 p.m. and 6:55 p.m.
On the 12th.
12th, those were on the 12th.
All right. And then moving on columns 15 and 16. I'm sorry, 15 and 14. Let's go to 15.
Okay, on that is a incoming call received from John Mello on 10/12/2021 at 7:01 p.m. Duration is an hour and 53 minutes.
All right, so that first number up here, whose number is that?
That would be the number of for John Mello's account.
And then what is this number right here?
That would be the number associated with Zach Hughes' WhatsApp.
And that is using WhatsApp?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make phone calls through WhatsApp?
You can.
And what was the duration of that call?
1 hour and 53 minutes.
All right. On October 12th?
Correct.
At what time?
7:01 p.m.
That's 7 o'clock at night.
Correct.
What about column 14?
That's a call from Zach Hughes to John Mello. It's an outgoing call. It took place also on the 12th of October at 8:54 p.m. and it was 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
And so that call was at what time?
8:54 p.m.
And then going to column 13.
It's a call from Zach Hughes' WhatsApp account to John Mello's WhatsApp account. It took place on 10/13/2021 at 3:50 p.m. and it was an hour and 20 minutes.
So that's on October 13th, 2021 at 3:50 in the afternoon
Correct.
for a duration of an hour and 20 minutes?
Correct.
And then number 12?
Number 12 is from John Mello to Zach Hughes, 10/13/2021 at 7:01 p.m., 14 seconds.
And then number 11?
A call from Zach Hughes to John Mello on the 13th of October, 7:15 p.m. for 19 minutes and 46 seconds.
And then I'll refer you back to number 8.
Call from John Mello to Zach Hughes on 10/14 at 2:05 p.m. for 22 minutes.
Right, so that's the day after the murder?
Correct.
And then what about number 7?
It's a call to Max Hyde Law Firm on the 14th of October at 2:10 p.m. for 2 minutes and 39 seconds.
And what about number 6?
It's a call to Isabella Mello on 10/14/2021 at 2:16 p.m. for 34 seconds.
And then number 5?
Another call back to Max Hyde Law Firm at 3:44 p.m. on the 14th of October, 2 minutes and 23 seconds.
And then number 4?
Can you pull it down just a tad? Okay, there you go. It's a call from Isabel Mello, incoming to Zach Hughes on the 14th of October at 3:46 p.m., not answered.
And number 3?
Call to Isabel Mello, 10/14/2021 at 3:47 p.m., 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
Our state moves 179 into evidence. I may have forgotten.
There's been a lot of exhibits.
It's a lot. I'm sorry. I get in my groove.
No objection.
Thank you. 179 comes in.
I think I'm down to the last report.
Thank you.
So the last report is called Activity Sensor Data. What is that?
That is, if you have an iPhone, it's your activity app on there, steps, flights of stairs climbed, distance traveled during your activity.
All right, Investigator Perry, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 180. You recognize it?
I do.
Is that the activity sensor data?
It is the activity sensor data.
State moves 180 in evidence.
No objection.
Objection, 180 is right.
All right. And again, if you want to start at the beginning of the day, work backwards. So I'll start you with page 6 of the report. I guess that's it. All right. So explain to the jury the first column there, columns.
Okay, the first column, 16, is showing that the time frame between 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the 13th of October, the activity that took place during that time.
So on down here at the bottom on 10/13 at 5:39 a.m., it says distance traveled.
Correct.
So what was the distance traveled at 5:39 a.m.?
51 meters.
And then at 5:57, how many meters were traveled?
4.23 meters traveled.
Now, I'm certain that for your phone to register this information, you have to have it on your person.
Correct.
If it's sitting on a table and you're walking around, it's not going to magically
No, it's not going to pick anything up.
pick anything up.
No.
So let's go from, I guess, the time frame 6 to 7 o'clock.
6 to 7 o'clock on the 13th of October. Between that period of time, the actual breakdown of when it actually took place was the distance. Which one do you want first? Speed? Okay, steps were at 6:10, 6:11. You got a one flight of stairs. Distance traveled 21 meters, and the speed was 1.29.
Then we'll go from the time frame of 7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
7 a.m. to 8 a.m. If you could move it up just a tad. Okay, from 7 to 8 o'clock, you had two flights of stairs climbed. At 11:50, 11:37, you had one.
No, I think good 14 from 7 to 8 a.m. At 7:41, how many steps were made?
At 7:41, you had 41 meters traveled.
Okay. So that's at 7:41 a.m.
Correct.
And then when is the next activity on this phone?
So there's no other activity picked up by the phone as user activity until 11:35, looks like the earliest time, 11:35 a.m. on the 13th.
All right, so let's start at 11:35 and work our way up on distance traveled, flights climbed, and steps, because that would be between 11 and 8 o'clock, right? I mean, 11 and 12 o'clock.
11, that's your time frame, 11 to 12.
Okay. All right, so not to be confusing, at 7:41, the last step was 41 meters.
Correct.
Indicated right there.
It was 41 meters at 7:41 a.m.
All right. And then the next activity with the phone in hand
Correct.
is what time?
11:35 a.m.
Okay. And then at 11:35, what happens?
You have 79 meters traveled.
All right. And then 11:48
11:48, you have 37 meters,
and 11:58.
156 meters.
And as far as flights climbed at 11:37,
You had one flight, and then at 11:50, you had two.
all right. And then as far as steps are concerned, at 11:35,
11:35, 115 steps,
11:48,
62,
and of course 11:58.
249.
Now let's move up to the time frame of 11 to 12. I'm sorry, 12 to 1.
12 to 1.
All right. So this is the time frame from 12 to 1. What time does it start as far as speed is concerned?
Speed, it starts at 12:07 p.m.
And what is the speed at 1207?
It's 1.35 meters per second,
Do you know, is that somebody walking?
taking a step.
Okay. And then, and so that speed is measured up until when?
To 12:59, 47 seconds, just shy of 1 o'clock.
So what about from 1208 to 1257 on distance traveled?
You have, at 12:08, you got 316 meters. At 12:18, you have another 88 meters. 12:23, 33 meters. 12:33, another 211. 246, 211, and then at 12:58, you have 229.
And then flights climbed?
Flights climb, you have one flight recorded.
And then what about your steps from 1208 to 1257?
You have 477 at 12:08, at 12:18, 138, 12:23, 51, 12:33, 343, 12:46, 340, and at 12:57, 359.
So would that be consistent with somebody, say, cleaning their car and walking around the woods? Which you're on. And then I'm going to go to number 16 at the bottom there. What is that time frame?
Okay, you got from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. on the 13th, and that is distance traveled is 51 meters at 5:39 a.m. At 5:57 a.m. you have 4.23 meters traveled. And then stepwise at 5:39 you have 68 steps, and at 5:57 you have 9.
All right. And I jumped ahead. I'm going to go back to the areas of 1 to 2. 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on the 13th. Again. And you can just summarize, Investigator Perry, for 10:13 at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
You have distance traveled 515 meters, 3 flights of stairs climbed, and maximum speed of 1.3 meters per second.
And then from the time frames of 2 to 3?
You have total distance 61 meters, 1 flight, and maximum speed 1.09.
Investigator Perry, if you'll just answer any questions defense may have.
I don't have any questions for this group.
Thank you, sir.
Next witness is going to take a hot minute. I don't know if you want to take an early break and